Today, we're going to go on a journey, but not with a typical map. Instead, we're using two of Henry David Thoreau's most incredible essays. We're going to see how, for him, a simple walk was, well, it was never just a walk. It was a deep, deep dive into the self. I mean, listen to that. Thoreau just sets the mood for us perfectly, doesn't he? This isn't about getting your steps in or racing to a finish line. It's all about slowing down, really listening, and just letting the world around you speak in its own quiet way. And that's really the heart of what we're talking about today. For Thoreau, the simple act of putting one foot in front of the other, that's what unlocks everything. It's a physical thing that starts a whole mental and spiritual process. It's basically thinking in motion. All right, so our first journey is a climb. We're starting with his essay, A Walk to Wachusett. And it's this classic story of an outward journey, climbing a mountain, that ends up leading to this amazing inward discovery. This right here is such a key idea. Yeah, he and his friend are physically walking towards a mountain, but Thoreau's real attention, his real focus, is on his inner landscape. The destination, as he says, is really just an excuse for the journey itself. And this is where it gets really cool, how he uses these everyday things as huge symbols. So the mountain, it's not just a big pile of rock. It stands for aspiration, reaching for a higher state of being. The road, that's the journey of life. And that horizon getting bigger and bigger, that's his own mind, his own consciousness expanding with every step. You can almost see it as this simple three-part process. First, you have to physically get away from all the noise and distractions of regular life. Then, as you start climbing, you literally get a higher perspective on everything. And from up there, your mind just feels freer, clearer. It's like you can finally think. So when you boil it all down, the big takeaway from this first walk is this. Getting to the top of Wachusett was never the point. The real goal was the understanding he picked up along the way. The entire hike was just a tool for self-discovery. Okay, so let's shift gears completely. The setting changes, the mood changes. We're trading that upward climb for a quiet walk through a frozen world. And this time, it's all about finding hidden life in the absolute stillness of winter. So in a winter walk, everything on the surface looks dormant, maybe even dead. But Thoreau has this amazing knack for seeing what's underneath. He looks at this snow-covered landscape and doesn't see an ending. He sees a place that's buzzing with quiet vitality, with this profound beauty. The symbols here are totally different, but they're just as powerful. You've got snow, which for him means purity and this deep, cleansing silence. The bare trees, with no leaves to hide behind, show their raw, honest strength. And that soft winter light, that's kind of like a metaphor for a gentler, more subtle kind of truth. This comparison really gets to the core of this essay. Where most of us would just see a harsh, empty, barren world, Thoreau sees the complete opposite. He finds a quiet energy, a subtle strength, and he sees it as an invitation for the soul to just rest and think. It's all about your point of view. And that's the ultimate lesson of a winter walk, right? The season isn't about death. It's a necessary pause. It's a time for nature and for us too to pull back, gather strength, and just quietly endure until it's time to grow again. So on the one hand, we have these two very different walks, right? One up a mountain, one through a snowy field. But they're actually connected by this common philosophical thread. So what is it? Well, both of these essays are pure transcendentalism. This was this whole movement that basically said, hey, you're not going to find truth in a book or in a church. The real truth is found through your own direct experience, especially when you immerse yourself in nature. Nature was the ultimate teacher. And you can see these same core beliefs woven through both stories. This idea of a deep union with nature, that a simple walk can lead to a kind of inner awakening, a rejection of all the stuff society tells you need, and finding real power in being alone. And looking at a timeline really helps put it all in perspective. You have to remember, as America was just starting to barrel towards industrialization, towards noise and factories and speed, Thoreau was quietly saying, hey, wait, there's another way, a path of stillness and nature and looking inward. So this all leads to the big question. What does some guy from the 19th century have to say to us today? In our world of constant notifications and being on all the time, well, it turns out a lot. His ideas are maybe more relevant now than they've ever been. I love this because it's so true. It's what makes his writing timeless. He's not yelling at you to change your life. He's just gently offering an invitation. He's suggesting that maybe, just maybe, there's a better, more meaningful way to go about things.
And that really throws down a challenge to us, doesn't it? In a world that's obsessed with productivity and optimizing every second, the simple act of taking a quiet walk with no real purpose, it feels almost like an act of rebellion. It's pushing back against that pressure to always be doing something.
So it really makes you reconsider what a walk is for. Is it just exercise? Or could it be a dedicated time for thinking, for solving problems, or just for being present? Thoreau thought it was one of the most powerful tools we have, this kind of moving meditation. And that's where we land. In the end, that's the real destination. Whether you're climbing a mountain or just walking through a snowy field, Thoreau's big reminder is that the most fascinating, most important landscapes you could ever possibly explore are the ones inside yourself. The real journey is always, beautifully, inward.